They hid it in plain sight. A single line, a sentence so small, you could read past it 100 times and never feel its weight. But when you hear it with your soul, not your eyes, not your logic, everything begins to move. The verse I'm about to share with you has built legacies, opened impossible doors, and restored what entire families had forgotten. It's not the most quoted, it's not flashy or poetic, but it is alive, and it carries the code for what I call divine provision. Not survival, not striving, but provision that arrives without panic and expands without limit. Before I give you the verse, I need you to slow your breath. Let your jaw unclench, uncross your arms, drop the shoulders, and be still. Because divine things do not enter crowded spaces, and the wisdom I'm about to speak has no interest in rushing. Now listen to me. There is a line in Deuteronomy, a book often skipped, often feared, often misunderstood. And within that book is this: "But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth." Deuteronomy 8:18. That's it. That's the line. He gives you power to get wealth. Not luck, not inheritance, not permission. Power. It's already within you. Not promised for the future, not held by someone else. It has been given. But here's the tragedy. Most people never activate it. They pray for money. They visualize checks. They chase goals. But they never go back to remember the source. Thou shalt remember. The verse begins with a command, not a suggestion. Because remembrance is access. Forgetfulness is blockage. The ancients knew this. They didn't just tithe or pray. They remembered. Every morning, every meal, every harvest. They didn't treat wealth as coincidence. They treated it as covenant. And the moment you shift from hoping for wealth to remembering the source of it, you activate that ancient power again. It's not about religion. It's not about rules. It's about alignment. You can call it God. You can call it source. You can call it spirit. But the verse doesn't care what name you use. It only responds to those who remember where the power came from. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you looked at your wallet and whispered, "Thank you for what's already coming back," instead of, "Where did it all go?" When was the last time you opened your banking app like a temple door, not a prison gate? You see, this verse isn't just a statement. It's a reversal, a divine key turning. Because the world teaches, you work, then you earn. But this verse teaches, you remember, and then you access the power that draws wealth to you. Not with force, but with frequency. Not with fear, but with favor. And that is the forgotten verse. Let's say it again, slowly. It is he that giveth thee power to get wealth. Don't say it like a quote. Say it like a truth that your bones already know. Close your eyes. Breathe it in. You are not waiting for abundance. You are walking with the one who gave you the power to call it in. And now, we begin to remember. Let's go deeper now, because this verse holds more than most people ever stop to see. It does not say that God gives you wealth. It says he gives you power to get it. This is not magic. This is spiritual responsibility. Because what is power without remembrance? It becomes misused, misdirected, and eventually lost. That's why remembrance comes first in the verse. Thou shalt remember. Because power without reverence turns wealth into weight, turns overflow into ego, turns blessing into bondage. And you weren't born for any of that. You were given power not just to collect, but to circulate, to give life through your hands, to be a walking answer to someone else's unspoken prayer. But how do you activate this power? How do you take a verse buried in an old book and turn it into a living, breathing supply chain? You begin where the verse begins, with remembrance, daily, deliberate, deep. Let me give you a sacred practice. Each morning, before your feet touch the ground, speak this. The power to get wealth lives in me. I remember the source. I walk in provision. 3 lines, takes 10 seconds, but it will begin to reorder your day. Because when remembrance becomes rhythm, doors open without knocking, people call without prompting, ideas flow without force. Why? Because wealth is not only attracted to hustle, it is attracted to honor. And remembrance is the highest form of honor. Let me show you how this works. A few years ago, I knew a woman named Selah. She wasn't famous, didn't have a big following, didn't come from money. But she woke up every day and spoke one line. I carry the power to get wealth, and I honor the one who gave it. She said it brushing her teeth. She said it before calls. She said it when the account balance was low. And you know what happened? Her email inbox became a channel of provision. Clients she hadn't spoken to in months reached out of nowhere. Old invoices, paid with interest, gifted opportunities she never applied for. Why? Because she aligned herself with the verse that never stopped working. You see, the verse never deactivates. We just disconnect from it. And the moment we reconnect, with reverence, with rhythm, with remembrance, the power starts flowing again. Let me remind you, this is not religion. This is spiritual technology, and you are the operator. You don't need louder prayers. You need clearer remembrance. And this is where most people miss it. They say the right words, but hold the wrong posture. They remember the bills, the debts, the delay, but they forget the giver. So the power gets blocked. The wealth doesn't flow, and they think it's punishment, but it's not. It's simply a disconnection, and disconnection is always healed through remembrance. Say it again with me now. The power to get wealth lives in me. I remember the source. I walk in provision. Feel how the room changes when you speak from alignment instead of anxiety. That's not just a good feeling. That's the current reactivating. Now I'll show you what happens when you begin to receive from this place of remembrance, because the verse doesn't stop at power. It leads you into overflow. What happens when you stop chasing and start remembering? When you stop begging for breakthrough and start embodying the source? You begin to receive not just income, but insight, not just currency, but clarity. Because when you honor the source, you are trusted with more. Wealth flows where there is integrity, and remembrance is integrity in motion. I want you to picture your life like a temple, not a business plan, not a hustle cycle, a temple. And in this temple, every decision becomes an offering. The way you speak about money, the way you handle what you already have, the way you honor the invisible before the visible shows up. All of it is worship. And that is when wealth becomes sacred, not just something you stack, but something you steward. You see, power is not loud, it's not urgent, it's not in the shouting or the grinding. It's in the stillness of someone who remembers where their help comes from. And that's the version of you that money is drawn to. Not the frantic you, not the doubting you, but the you that stands tall in her kitchen, with 3 bills on the table, and still whispers, I carry the power to get wealth, and I remember who gave it. That is not delusion. That is authority, and heaven recognizes it. The truth is, you don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to strategize your next 10 years. You just need to align today. When the Israelites were in the wilderness, they didn't store the manna. They received it daily, and so will you. But you must return to the verse, not as a quote, but as a daily agreement. Let it be your covenant language. The power to get wealth is mine. I remember the giver. I walk in divine provision. And as you repeat it, something subtle begins to shift. The inner critic goes quiet. The old scarcity stories begin to fall away. And you become what the verse always said you were. Not a beggar, not a borrower, but a carrier of wealth power. You don't manifest it, you remember it. You don't hustle for it, you receive it. And in receiving it, you begin to become a well for others to drink from. Because divine wealth is never selfish. It multiplies through circulation. It moves through those who remember the source, honor the gift, and keep the temple open. So if today you find yourself doubting again, pause and return. Not to worry, not to fear, but to the verse. It is He that gives you power to get wealth. Say it again and again and again, until your nervous system begins to calm, until your breath deepens, until peace enters the room. That's when you'll know you've remembered. And when remembrance returns, wealth cannot stay away. It's already moving toward you. It's already circling your name. It's already looking for the open door. And the door is your alignment, not your effort, not your charm, not your marketing, your remembrance. Say it softly now. I remember and I receive. Because that is the forgotten key, and you've just turned it. There is a moment in every journey when the wandering stops, when the searching quiets, and the soul simply remembers. Remembers what it carries. Remembers what was spoken. Remembers what was given long before the striving ever began. You have reached that moment. No more chasing, no more proving, just remembering and receiving. And now the verse becomes your breath. It becomes your walk, your thought, your transaction, your silence. It lives in the way you speak to your bank account. It lives in how you bless your business. It lives in how you give without fear and receive without guilt. Because the wealth you are calling in does not come to complete you. It comes to confirm you. You were already whole. You were already chosen. You were already trusted with the power to get wealth. This isn't about making millions tomorrow. This is about stepping into alignment today. Because once you remember the source, you'll see it everywhere. In small, unexpected payments, in favor that finds your name, in the doors that should have stayed closed, but opened anyway. And when it happens, don't question it. Don't shrink back. Don't say, why me? Just whisper, because I remembered, because I aligned, because I am the carrier of divine wealth power. That's who you've always been. And every time you forget, you can return here, to this voice, to this truth, to this ancient verse that still lives because it was never meant to die. It was meant to rise in you. So write it on your mirror, speak it over your pillow, sing it while washing the dishes, whisper it when no one else understands. Let it be your rhythm, your vow, your spiritual inheritance. It is He who gives me power to get wealth. And when you say it now, you no longer say it as a student. You say it as one who carries it, as one who lives it, as one who was never left out, only asked to remember. And now that you have, may the power multiply through you. May the doors open with ease. May the delays dissolve. May the fear fall silent. May the provision arrive before the need. May the overflow surprise you, because you are no longer hoping, you are remembering. And in remembrance, you are made rich by divine design. It is done. It is remembered. It is yours.